Hi everybody, hola a todos. I'm Guillermo Luna, soy Guillermo Luna, miembro del Club del Chairman's Club, and we have Mary Holloway and John Tartle, both Chairman's Club, almost 40 years in the business. And this video will be in English, but you can see the subtitles, you can activate the subtitles in YouTube in your local language. Este video va a ser en inglés, pero pueden activar los subtítulos en su lenguaje, en este caso, español. Okay? John and Mary, they are brother and sister. Okay? They are also one of my big mentors in the company. And we are going to cover a very on trend topic because a lot of people from outside the US is now having business in the US. And the US is a little bit different regarding the volume. We have to document the volume. And Mary and John will explain in few slides and some conversation how to do it. It's very easy. You don't have to learn everything today. Don't worry. Just follow the video, take the basis, take all the guidelines, and little by little, you will learn. So up to you, Mary and John. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Hi, everybody. John Tartle here. You'll hear from Mary in a second. And so I'm glad you're watching this because Herbalife is an international business, right? We're in over 95 countries. So I know a lot of you have contacts or are looking to build a business here in the USA, and as Guillermo said, it's a little bit different here as to how we get to our earnings, how we qualify up the marketing plan. And so we're going to go through some details, but here's the simple bottom line. The simple bottom line is every volume point that you do needs to match up with the customer. And there'll be a customer receipt, so the company and anybody else that wants to look can find a receipt, and the volume is going into somebody's mouth. But we're going to get into much more depth. So Mary, why don't you start?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Let me share the screen. As Guillermo said, we do have some slides that are in English. What I do when I see slides in other languages, I kind of copy the words and put them into my Google Translate, and there we go, right? So however you need to make it happen, make it happen. So this is awesome. So we are talking about USA and documented volume, as John said. And the US has had incredible sales growth since all of this even happened. So I want you to feel confident that this is easy to learn how to do. When something is new, at first it's not maybe so simple, right? Because it's new, but it doesn't take very long to learn how to do this. And you'll see, oh, this is not that big of a deal. We can make this happen. So let's see, sorry. Okay, I just wanted to say on this slide that how do we do business in America? Just like we do every place else in Herbalife, okay? You can work online, you can work offline, all the different methods that you use. That's the same way that we do business here in America. So I don't want you to think, oh, you have to do something different to get business. No, it's about invitations and presentations and then sales.
Right. Okay, so in order to qualify to earn royalties, your bonuses, the promotions that happen in the USA, like vacations, it's only done by counting documented volume points. Where I'm going to assume you all understand that all of our products are allotted volume points. So we kind of have an even playing field around the world as to how many customers you need to qualify up the marketing plan via the volume points. And we'll talk about that. But the documented volume point sources, one, it comes from your profitable, that's a key point, your profitable retail sales supported by a submitted receipt. So in other words, you have to have at least a 1 penny profit for it to be a legitimately documented volume sale. All right, just always remember that. Two, and by the way, when you get the product shipped directly from Herbalife to your client here, it's automatically documented. So much of what we do is automatic, like the second point. Your preferred member purchases from Herbalife at a 25%, 35%, 42% here are automatically documented. Okay, done deal. You don't have to worry about it. Your downline, as you get distributors in your organization, they're profitable retail sales that contribute to your personal volume. So if they're new and they do 100 volume points, that also is your 100 volume points in terms of volume. So that downline, they will contribute to your personal volume, again, supported by a submitted receipt. Okay. 4, any of your downlines preferred members purchases from Herbalife, at the 25, 35, 42%. So theirs also count because it all flows the upline while people are qualifying up to supervisor. And then outside of the USA, your non-USA downline. So as you have, distributors in other parts of the world, other than the USA, your non-USA downlines Herbalife Nutrition independent distributor purchases. So whatever they buy is done outside the US is automatically documented. Okay. So anything you do, whatever country you're in, you're operating as you already do, that will keep pushing you up the marketing plan. It has nothing to do with the US unless the business is being done in the USA. And then finally, your personal purchases made outside the USA for receipted customers. So in other words, let's say you have a distributor here in the States, and they make a sale to somebody in France, in Chile, somewhere, Spain. Well, they have to document that volume to count towards qualifications, because as a US distributor, we have to show that there is a customer attached to that product. Okay.
Very clear, John. And I have a question. So, because I don't live in the US, okay, if I do volume in Chile or Spain,
Yep.
that volume doesn't have to be documented because those countries doesn't require
Exactly.
to be documented. But if I recruit some distributor in the US because he's a US person, okay, and he make a sale in Chile or Venezuela or Bolivia, he has to document that volume anyway,
Yes.
right?
And we
Okay,
have,
clear.
and we have via, our myherbalife.com, we have different ways to document that. So it could be done easily, but they need to do it because it will be looked at closely. It's kind of raises a red flag when a US-based distributor makes a retail sale outside of the USA.
So it's
Perfect.
very,
And inside the US, and inside the US, what a US distributor has to do is, just record the sale.
Right.
You call document that is follow some like a receipt. It's very easy to do it, online with the app, Or what I think is very easy is if I recruit somebody in the US, I will tell him find preferred members, because doing the volume with preferred members is automatically documented, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it
Great.
is.
Thank you.
and so it's very easy to document because you can just go onto my Herbalife and there's a little area that says create a receipt. And we just go on there and we create the receipts. So when I have my people buy from out of countries that are my personal volume, some of them come through my Go Herbalife websites in Canada. I have a Go Herbalife website, right? You can have one as well. Any place that there are Go Herbalife websites and you're a distributor, you can have them. And then I just go on and create the receipt for it. So it's very simple to be able to do that. Okay, so now as far as royalties and bonus earnings that we receive from monthly volumes that are placed in the US, they're calculated and they're paid out from 2 different rewardable pots. So we get paid on all the volumes that come in, just like we always have in Herbalife. The first pot is called the primary rewardable pot. What's in that pot? All the documented volume from the organization, right? All the documented volume plus all the personal consumption volume, all those orders up to $235. Now, unlike other countries, when I order the products for myself, okay, I ordered them in a category we'll show you in a minute called personal consumption. And I can order as much as I want. Like I go way above $235 every single month in my ordering of personal consumption. And John is my upline. He gets paid on every bit of what I do, okay? Regardless of how, I think right now I'm at 600 or 700 personal consumption volume right now, at this point in the month. And so he gets paid on all that. So don't think that you only get paid up to $235. No, the first $235 worth of my purchases, he gets paid on through the primary rewardable pot. So 2 areas there. And then we have a secondary rewardable pot. That's all the undocumented volume from the organization. That all goes into that pot, plus any of the personal consumption orders that are in excess of $235 in a month. So like I just told you, I order more than that in a month. And so the second part of above the 235, you get earned in the secondary rewardable pot. So 2 pots, all the volume comes in. Where does it go? Either rewardable for primary rewardable or secondary rewardable, and then all the monies get paid out.
Perfect, Mary. And just to be clear, Herbalife will pay always all the volume that is done in your organization, all the volume. The difference is if that volume count for your qualification or not. If some little distributor, a new distributor, they do 100 volume points, and that person doesn't do the receipt because he was distracted, he didn't do it, he doesn't know, you will get paid on one of that 100 volume points, but that 100 volume points won't count to your qualification. So you have to be sure to teach all your group how to document every volume point, because you can achieve a new level for 1 volume point. So don't miss any volume points to document.
So you will have some volume points. The personal consumption shows up as a volume point in our orders, okay? So those are not documentable personal consumption orders, so you know that. But everything else is documentable. Okay, so let's go. John.
Okay, by the way, also, one good thing here is we really are learning who our clients are, getting really viable contact information. You'll see that in a second. So it makes follow-up a lot easier, really, because you know that there's different ways to reach the person and do the follow-up. So here in the States, we grow our business like everywhere else with customers, again, documented by sales that are automatically done or manually. Like if you have some inventory on hand and you make that sale, then we manually make the order through Herbalife, like Mary was talking about, create a receipt. It's not hard. Preferred members, we already said this, but just as a reminder, are automatic. When the preferred member orders, it is documented volume here. And then distributors and supervisors, that documented volume that comes from their sales that is documented, their sales to their clients, their preferred members. All right. Most of what you're going to find is automatic. It's just like when you actually hand somebody the product, it's coming from inventory. That's where you need to take that extra step to document.
And we put this in here so you could just take a screenshot of it. So you have like this, these are all the components of a valid receipt. So oh, this is what I have, this is the information I have to provide to Herbalife for it to be considered a valid receipt. So it's very important. So take a screenshot of this so you'll be able to know exactly what to do.
And one thing on that, by the way, you want to make sure that the 2 ways to contact the person are real, okay? Because the company will monitor that. They, not everybody, of course, because there's millions of clients, but you just want to be sure that it's a real address if they use it, phone number or email. Okay, next.
Right.
Now, so when you place an order, you're going to be given 3 options when you place the order. So you go in, you click on your first product, this will come up. And so if you're going to ship directly to a customer, so you're drop shipping to a client, just click that and then you continue the order. And when it's all done, it's documented. It's done. All right. You don't have to do anything else. Now, if you hit for my own use, we kind of just went through that. So it'll be, shown as personal use. The upline will get paid, you know, for the 235, but that volume does not count, you know, towards qualifications. And then you have to sell later. You have retail inventory orders. So you just click it on there. And then when you do make that sale, all right, then that's where you want to make a receipt, like we talked about, go into the, you know, system, create a receipt, you know, given the same information that, you know, that we just showed you. And from there, you know, it's done deal. So it's pretty straightforward, but you just want to make sure that, you know, you hit the right button. And another thing that can happen here, let's say somebody is here and they want to have personal use, and they also want to ship it to somebody or to sell it later. They can do that in the same order. I don't want to get too complicated, but you know, we keep refining the process to make it easier and easier. But these are the 3 categories that you want to pay attention to.
And again, as an Herbalife distributor, you have the opportunity to have a Go Herbalife website here in America because we have them. So you can set that up in myherbalife.com when you get inside of that, and you'll be able to do that, and that will automatically document the sale for you and send it right to your customer. So it's pretty awesome.
Yep.
So you want to start people that want the products. They only want the products, okay, at this point. You want to start them as a customer or as a preferred member. This is different than in some countries because sometimes people want to, they get their customer on the products and they want to give them a little discount or whatever, so they sign them up as a distributor. That's not what happens in America, okay? If you have a person that they don't want to sell, they just want to take the products, then their place here is either be a customer or be a preferred member. And as a preferred member, and we'll show you the discounts, they get the discounts, okay? So it's very important because documented volume comes from sales from distributors. And so if you have people that get on the products and they just want to take the products, they have no intention to sell, but yet they're in the distributor category, that's going to be all undocumented volume for you constantly. And they don't really belong there. They belong in the preferred member category because they're simply a product user.
And by the way, this has become a big benefit for us here because in the past, you know, like Mary said, still in so many countries around the world, people will sign up as a distributor because they want a discount. And then they're getting this messaging from the company about meetings and getting to extravaganza and doing all the different stuff for the business. And really, they're not interested in that. Here, as they sign up as a preferred member and anywhere else now in the world, they're going to get messaging that basically a client would be interested in. Recipes, shake recipes, information about the other products, you know, stuff that really a client wants to know. And then distributors, now we know when somebody signs up, if they have a clear message of why they sign up as a distributor in the USA, they're signing up to work. And so now we have an assumption they're signing up to work. And so we could talk to them, you know, in a bit more of a business-minded way about getting to work. So here, the preferred membership, it's one-time $34.95. You know, there's no monthly dues. They immediately get a 20% plus discount up to 40%. We call it bronze, silver, and gold levels. Now, here in the USA, they may refer people, but they can't sell the product, okay? And it does not grow their personal percentages here. Some other countries it does. We're just talking about the US. So, but we have so many preferred members because even from the beginning of Herbalife, Mary and I knew, and I know Guillermo, once he got going, we knew that at least 70% of the people that were signing up, if not more, around the world, were really signing up because they really just wanted to use the product. They know they were going to use it for a long time. And so they wanted to get a better rate. Okay. And that's great. So here as a preferred member, they save money. And by the way, with any order over $190, value, it basically pays for the order because they get a discount, right? So, we encourage that. They do accumulate order volumes, to move up the scale. And there are some great preferred member promotions with gifts and perks, and they go for it. These promotions we're doing are working extremely well, and they do have their own support system here within Herbalife, 24/7 support with, we have within Herbalife, they have specialists there. So it's really turned out to be a very, very powerful tool for all of us because we know where they're coming from. So next, Mayor.
So
John, and this is so big, and like always, the United States is showing the other countries the lead in Herbalife, that we are adopting the preferred member program. We are adopting, we are launching the program without the documented volume, because we don't have to document the volume outside the US if you are not a US distributor, but all the benefits, the discount, the promotion, we are taking it. So we are very excited and happy to have it as soon as possible.
Yeah, if it's in your country, you want to learn how to promote that.
absolutely, it's a great program. This is something to take another screenshot of, because we're not going to read this, but this is like a text or a private message that you would send to someone that wants to become a preferred member. It just walks them through the steps, because you don't want to have to write it out every single time, or like go through the process. So every single time saying all this, no, just take a copy of this, put it one time in your, however you want to do it, in your notes, your phone, whatever, if you use different apps, and then just send out this text and it'll help walk them right through signing up.
Mary, you brought it before. You use Google Translate.
I
Okay.
do.
Now you can put your phone in the text and you can see in your own language exactly with the translate the translation. So there's no excuse like, oh, I have somebody in Czech Republic. How can I sign up people? Use the tools. Now you will have some challenges with some maybe difficult languages, but with English, Spanish, French, German, the main one, no issues. You will do it very fast.
Exactly.
So then what's going to happen as our, as you and as our people meet people and they talk about Herbalife and using the product, here in the States, we have to have the conversation with them. Are they going to be basically a customer or a preferred member or a distributor? And here, if they're not really going to work, we really discourage them from being a distributor. And we just explain, hey, if they would like to help others and earn extra money and they're willing to do the work, sign up as a distributor. Absolutely. And they learn, they have to take our test. You'll see that in a second. Some special training here. And if they're all fired up about earning extra money, fantastic. But if they're like, they're really not interested in earning money, they're not really interested in working, they would like it to fall out of the sky, but it's not going to happen because you have to work. And so if they're really not, interested in the business side, we tell them, no, you want to become a preferred member, you don't want to become a distributor, okay? So if they want to start selling immediately, you sign them up. If they just want to use the product, preferred member.
And that's basically what this slide is about. So if they say, yes, I want to start selling now, as you sign them up as a distributor, it's $94.10 right now to do that. And they simply get all those things that are, in the pack, and they can get started earning extra money and starting to build their business here with Herbalife, which is super exciting.
And here we have, again, just like we did for preferred members, we have a text. So you want to take a picture here again, check it out, translate it, easy to send because it's the same process over and over again because you're going to get a lot of distributors, right? Okay, so you have an easy tool here. Now, interesting thing. When a preferred member decides to become a distributor, which many do, all right? Here's what happens. Let's say they've accumulated an up volume up to the 40%, all right? When they become a distributor, that 40% will only apply to their personal consumption orders. When it comes to being a distributor. So as they're trying to work up the marketing plan to senior consultant, success builder, supervisor, they start like every other new distributor at 25%. Okay, so working the business, they sign up as a distributor, they start at the 25% and will move up with their documented volume up the sliding scale. All right, but their personal use, they can maintain what they accumulated as a preferred member.
And what's really awesome is let's say they became a preferred member because they didn't want to sell initially. They weren't ready now. So they became a preferred member, loved the products, and all of a sudden people are noticing. And so they're like, I think I do want to become a distributor. They can become a distributor. They don't have to pay the $94.10. They just pay the difference between the $34.95 and the $94.10. And now they're a distributor. And then they start to do that and they decide, you know what, I really don't want to do that. I just want to take these products. It's, a year or so down the road, whatever, something changes for them. They can actually flip back to preferred member at no problem. And you know what? Then the next year they say, you know what was I thinking? I want to be a distributor. They can flip back to a distributor so that you can actually go back and forth 3 times like that as a preferred member, because we know that sometimes people, they change their minds, things happen in people's lives. And so that way they can stay in the best category for themselves as they're taking our incredible products.
Mary.
So this is, once you become a distributor in America, you've got to take the required distributor training. And so this is something that they'll go through, they'll answer some questions. So we know that they're very informed about doing the business here. It's not difficult. If they have trouble taking tests or they're afraid, we can help them, right? We can help them and talk with them about it and help them understand everything so they can pass the test. I've not heard of people that haven't passed the test. So, we can help people understand. So that's key. Before they can order as a distributor, they must pass this test. So they need to do that first and foremost.
And again, it's a very basic test. So, but it's good, Okay, so now, just to kind of make it clear again, so to move up and work the marketing plan here, as I just said, when people sign up as a distributor, no matter which way they do it, from preferred member or just directly as a distributor, customer to distributor, they start at 25% in terms of the sliding scale. They move up to senior consultant with 500 documented volume points. Now, some people have said, like me, I actually, when I got started, I purchased 1,000 volume points because I wanted 42%, which is the way it is in most of the world now. But here in America, what happens is this. If somebody wants to get started as a qualified producer and they buy 1,000 points, they don't buy it at 42%. They buy it at 25%. And then as they turn in the receipts showing that 1,000 volume points was documented, they'll get a rebate from the company, a check pretty quickly, of the other 17%, okay? So everybody buys at 25% until they document either 500 volume points, then they're at 35% in 1 to 2 months, or they document 1,000 documented volume in 1 to 2 months, or to get to 42%, they can also do 2,500 documented volume in 3 to 6 months, okay? And really, and by the way, also then to become supervisor, it's 2,000 documented volume points here, okay? So it's 2,000 in 1 to 2 months, or it's like the rest of the world, 4,000 over 3 to 12 months. So frankly, we really encourage people, like we always have, if you're gonna work the business, you're a distributor, you want to make the most money you can for the same work. So you'd like to move up the marketing plan as quickly as you can. So we show people, hey, 2,000 to get there in 1 to 2 months. We show them all the different ways to do it with customers, with building a team, etc. And you know what? If it doesn't happen, they still have the secondary qualification of 4,000 from 3 to 12 months.
And isn't it awesome to have a new supervisor that sold the volume? They sold their way there. So guess what? First month as a supervisor, they're also creating new volume, okay? Because they've already got customers, they've already got distributors working possibly, but for sure customers, right? Because they documented volume points. And so that's exciting because sometimes a new supervisor they're still moving a little bit if they have a little bit of inventory and things, but in America, they sold that product to get the supervisor. So it's pretty
They
awesome.
have people.
Exactly, they have people in place.
Yeah, and John, so also while somebody is selling the products to achieve the supervisor level, that person also can recruit other distributors, teach the same so they can document the volume, and also that person can have preferred members, and that volume is automatically documented so they can easily achieve the 2000, in 1 or 2 months and become supervisor.
Yep, and this next slide, by the way, kind of talks about that. And so I think I'm talking about this, right, Mayor? Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to talk about it. One thing, just refer back to the page. Hopefully you took the notes on it, the screenshot of the documentable sources, right? Because what Guillermo was just referring to, those are all, it tells you, oh, those are all sources. Oh yes, I still do need to recruit distributors and teach them how to make the sales of the product and recruit distributors and get PMs and all of that. So we do all of that. Nothing is different in that how we build our Herbalife businesses. The difference is simply in this documentation of the sales as the products are moving to customers. So go ahead, John, talk about inlines.
Right. So, and Guillermo was kind of referring to this, that you don't have to do it alone just with clients or PMs, that you can qualify. First of all, the rule of thumb is the 4,000 qualification holds for the other countries. It still does. But here in the USA, it's a 2,000 qualification of documented volume points. It's for the US only. And everybody still needs in the 1 to 2 month qualification period. So when you qualify in 1 to 2 months, everybody still has to follow the 1,000 unencumbered volume rule, which I'm not going to get into right now. But it's something that you can find online or ask your upline. So for an example, let's just say A is from Europe. A does 2,000 volume points in Europe, okay? And now B, he has sponsored B, and B has 2,000 documented volume from the USA. So what happens? A becomes supervisor, all right? Because what do you need? You need 1,000 in unencumbered. Unencumbered means volume that's not being used by somebody else to become a supervisor. So 2,000 was done by B. A did another 2,000 on top of that. So there's more than 1,000 unencumbered. Actually, both people become supervisor because B is from the USA, where it takes 2,000 volume. A is from Europe or some other country. And so they have to do the 4,000 in 1 to 2 months. And, they did their 2,000 in our example. So both become supervisor together. So you can use other people's volumes. And this is a simple example. You may have a whole tree. You might have a whole grouping of distributors, some that do 100, some that do 500, some do it from Chile, some do it from France, some do it from South Africa, and some do it from the USA. Any volume done from the USA, though, has to be documented volume.
And again, we notate here, you can go to myherbalife.com and you can see the marketing plan for all the different countries. You just click on the different flags and you can see what those marketing plans look like. So you know exactly for the country that you're dealing with, what are their rules.
Yeah, and remember, the computer does all the calculations. So if you are selling in your country and you are recruiting people in the US and you teach them how to sell, and the people in the US is documenting the volume, the computer will qualify everybody to supervisor. So don't worry too much about that. But it's a good point. So if I'm outside the US, I am a distributor, I do 2,000, and I find somebody in the US as a distributor that also does 2,000 documented, both become supervisor. Great.
Right.
Yeah. So it's in red at the bottom, but we were just talking about this, so let's just refer to it. So our BizWorks reports that Herbalife runs for us, you want to make sure that you're choosing documented volumes as one of the categories that you add into all of your reports. Because remember, as we said, the volume done outside by our non-US distributors that we have all have business all over the world that are doing this call, right? That is shown as documented volume. So you're going to see documented volume from other countries. It's going to be listed there. And then, because it's automatically documented, right? And then you'll see the US people, and you'll see their documented volume figure. So that's what you want to run your reports, making sure you have documented volume. And that's what you look at when you're looking at the organization and how they're doing and how you can qualify for things and what you're getting paid on. So calculating royalty points, this is a little different thing that we have, okay, for active world team and tab team qualifications from the USA volume. So for documented volumes from your supervisors in the US, there's something called an uplift factor, okay, for calculating the royalty points for active world team and tab team. Not about payments, just qualifying, okay, qualifying for the other levels. So it's not about earnings, not about anything else or lower qualifications like we just covered, you know, senior consultant and qualified producer. No, it's just these upper levels have this uplift factor. So here's an example. So 8,200 documented volume points from your supervisors in the USA becomes 10,000 documented volume points when calculating the royalty override, only for qualifying for active world team or tab team levels. Right now, the uplift factor, which can change, okay, they tell it to us each month, it's been stable for many, many months in a row, is 1.22. So that's why 8,200 document, you know, with the uplift factor of 1.22 becomes 10,000 volume points here in America.
And, you know, they did that just to kind of have an even playing field for what, you know, it's happening here in the States. Simply because everything has to be documented. And, you know, it's in most countries, it's kind of nice, frankly, where sometimes at the end of the month and, you know, you're a couple hundred points away from where you want to be of a 5,000 point goal. And you go, you know what, I need some Lifeline, I need some Nightworks. I think I'll get it right now. And that will count in every other country toward your volume, you know, for qualification. Not here though. So, you know, they decided to do the uplift factor again, just to kind of even the playing field. But but as we found at the beginning, by the way, Mary said at the beginning, when something's new, it can throw you off a bit, and it did throw people off here a bit. And then as we learned how, you know, how to use it, it became like anything else. Okay, this is what we have to do. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to make the best of it. And we did. Oh my gosh, it is going crazy here and frankly, all over the world.
Yes. So hopefully, Guillermo, we've helped people understand a little bit more about the USA and the volumes, and that we still do the same Herbalife business. We still are helping people every single day. We're simply sending in, submitting the receipts for the sales that we've always made for all the years in Herbalife, right? We've always had tons of customers. And so now we send them in here to prove that they are valid sales. And we build our businesses incredibly well.
I have one last question. If you have a nutritional club in the US, is that volume documented?
For all customers that come in, yes. Okay, for distributors that come in and purchase from us, no. But for the customers that come in, yes, it's documented volume. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you want to use the tools. If you have somebody that has a nutrition club here, use, you know, the tools that Herbalife has provided for the clubs, because, you know, it just makes things happen so quickly, so easily.
Yeah, we have a tool. It's awesome. It's beautiful for the club. They just go onto their phones. It's called Engage. Our menu is there. Beautiful pictures of our shakes and teas are there, and they order it, and it goes right into our, you know, our club, and it's ready even when they come in. So they're not even having to wait, and they can just come in and be served their consumption, which is awesome.
And it's documented.
We are dreaming to have that. Okay, we are dreaming to have that. Yeah.
You will.
You know. Yeah, I think. Thank you very much for your explanation. As we told at the beginning, don't try to learn everything today. Okay, this is a process. You know. Now we have. Sometimes I travel to the U.S. I have family there. And at the beginning I was very stressed. How can I document this? I have a customer. Once you do 2 or 3 times, it's very easy. Now I do everything online. So I have my customers in the US, I have preferred members and customers in the US, and I do everything online. So I don't have to do the receipts, manually as I did my first times, few years ago. Okay, so very easy to learn. Don't worry, just focus in your activities and try to have business not only in the US. We are now more than 94 countries. So, who do you know? Who do you know? Okay, as our beloved, Alan Lorenz founder circle taught us to do. Who do you know? Who do you know everywhere? So,
Mary, how many countries do you have business in, Mary?
Last year, 80 countries. What about you, John?
Over 93. Just saying, who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know?
I'm the smallest, but because I have strong business in 4 countries, but I receive payment from 25 countries. So,
Okay.
it's happening also. It's happening.
Guillermo, you're one of the top people in the world. Give me a break. You're in the top 10 last year. Hopefully this year.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate your love, doing this for the worldwide distributors, and we hope we can meet. I mean, we can see each other personally soon.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you all.